Hello, welcome to Biology, the scientific study of life. Changes in spatial patterns. Substantial evolutionary changes can also result from alterations in genes that control the placement and spatial organization of body parts. For example, homotic genes determine such basic features as where a pair of wings and a pair of legs will develop on a bird or how a plant's flower parts are arranged. The products of one class of homotic genes called Hox genes provide positional information in an animal embryo. This information prompts cells to develop into structures appropriate for a particular locations. Changes in Hox genes and in the genes that regulate them in turn can have a profound impact on morphology. Consider, for example, the evolution of tetrapods, the terrestrial vertebrate, including amphibians, bears, and other reptiles and mammals from an ancestral aquatic vertebrates. During this process, four of the ancestral vertebrates' fins evolved into limbs. Among the adaptations of the tetrapod limb are digits, fingers, and toes in humans that extend skeletal support to the tip of the limb. In fish embryos, a Hox gene is expressed in a band of cells running along one edge of the fin bud. Notice this figure. Tetrapod embryos, this same Hox gene is also expressed at the tip of the limb bud, the embryonic structure that develops into a forelimb of hind limb. The product of this Hox gene provides positional information about how far digits and other bones should extend from the limb. The evolution of vertebrate from invertebrate animals was an even larger evolutionary change, and it too was associated with alterations in Hox genes and the genes that regulate them. As seen here in this figure, in producing such morphological novelettes, changes in developmental dynamics have undoubtedly played important roles in macroevolution. Back to Hox genes and the evolution of tetrapod limbs. The red zones, notice that, indicate regions where a Hox gene involved in skeleton development is expressed. Notice that zebrafish, fin bud, and region of Hox gene expression. Chicken, leg bud. Okay. Evolution is not goal oriented. The fossil record often shows apparent trends in evolution. For instance, some evolutionary lines exhibit to trend toward larger or smaller body size. An example is the evolution of the living horse, genus Equus, a descendant of the 40 million years old Hyracotherium, had 4 toes on its front feet, 3 toes on its hind feet, and teeth adapted for browsing on bushes and trees. In comparison, living horses are larger, have only 1 toe on each foot, and possess teeth modified for grazing on grasses. Do these changes represent real trends, and if so, how do we account for them? Extracting a single evolutionary progression from the fossil record can be misleading. It is like describing a bush as growing toward a single point by tracing only the branches that lead to that twig. For instance, by selecting certain species from the available fossils, it is possible to arrange a succession of animals intermediate between Hyracotherium and living horses that shows trends toward increased size, reducing number of toes, and modification of teeth for grazing, yellow line, in this. Notice that. However, if we include all fossil horses known today, this apparent trend vanishes. The genus Equus did not evolve as in a straight line. Um, it is the only surviving twig of an evolutionary tree that is so branched that is more like a bush. It was actually descended through a series of speciation episodes that include several adaptive radiations, not all of which led to large one-toed grazing horses. For instance, notice in this figure that only those languages derived from Barahibus include grazers. Other languages derived from Miohippus. Notice that. Branching other Miohips, all of which are now extinct, remained multi-toed browsers for 35 million years. Branching evolution can result in an evolutionary trend, even if some new species counter the trend. For example, one model of long-term trends proposed by Stephen Stanley of Johns Hopkins University considers species to be analogous to individual speciation is their birth, extinction is their death, and new species that diverge from them are their offspring. In this model, Stanley suggests that just as individual organisms undergo natural selection, species undergo species selection. The species that endure the longest and generate the most new offspring species determine the direction of major evolutionary trends. The species selection model suggests that differential speciation success plays a role in macroevolution, similar to the role of differential reproductive success in microevolution. To the extent that speciation rates and species longevity reflect success, the analogy to nature selection is even stronger. It's possible that qualities unrelated to the overall success of organisms in specific environments may become important when entire species are selected. For example, if a species is able to disperse easily to new locations, it may give rise to a large number of daughter species. Whether or not the species selection model is valid, there are other possible sources of trends observed in the fossil record. For example, sexual selection in the Irish Alec of northern Europe drove an immense increase in the size of their altars, though this did not prevent the Alec from becoming extinct because the changing vegetation and hunting by humans, and when horse ancestors invaded the grasslands that spread during the age of mammals, there was strong selection for grazers that could escape predators by running faster. This trend would not have occurred without open grasslands. Whatever its cause, the appearance of an evolutionary trend does not imply that there is some intrinsic drive toward a particular phenotype. Evolution is the result of the interactions between organisms and their current environments. If environmental conditions change, an apparent evolutionary trend may cease or even reverse itself.